Hello and welcome back. It's Sunday morning and the forces are deployed, ready to clash into each other, one into the other for the battle of Casteggio and Montebello. Just before to show you the army, few precision, I try to replicate what's happened in history, at least at the beginning, and for some games rule that we applied. Any unit of this force here and that force down there, the two detachments that will engage the French in the middle of the field, when one of this unit receive enough casualty to begin shaken and they do not rout, they start to retreat towards Montebello and try to rally but fall back to the main objective. And the other precision here, for who have not seen the previous video, this ditch here is small enough to be crossed by infantry without too many, whereas it's just count difficult terrain, so no more. They lost 4 inches in their move and cannot charge across it, but there is a bridge here to cross, and point wise we apply the defeat plus 10 points if the Austrian held Casteggio and forced the French back or out of the village, and 5 points if Lannes and France capture it, and 5 points for the Austrian if they manage to hold at least Montebello, and 10 points at the end of the game if they are in the end of the French. To get the village, it must not be any enemy unit within 6 inches from one of the building. It's fair enough. And shaken unit eventually do not count for the control of the village. And now proceeding to show you the two forces starting from the attacker, so the French. We're assuming that the first skirmisher in the morning has just happened and the French are going to attack straight along this road here. We have the leading brigade of Batrep, which as a trait is stubborn, and it leads 3-line infantry. Then follow the Mainoni brigade with a 3-line infantry, 1 horse artillery and 1 unit of hussars. Mainoni here and Lannes is right here. In the second turn, after the French has moved in, the 3rd brigade, General Lannes, with his 2 light battalion, 2 leger, 2 voltage detachment and another horse artillery will enter the fray. To try to recreate the history, Lannes at this moment of his career is very impetuous and ambitious, so he has 4 traits. He is aggressive, indomitable, strategist, but over-ambitious. And his general here, Batrep, is stubborn because he have to suffer the most in the first stage of the fight. The trait for Lannes means that aggressive is at 1 to the melee infantry value that taking assault action. Indomitable, reroll fail Fortitude test for the brigade leader within 12 inches from him. Strategist increase its command range to 36 inches, and the overambitious is a -1. Unit from this army cannot carry retreat, apart cavalry retreat eventually, but they have only 1 cavalry unit in the army. In addition, every unit that take at the double must finish 6 inches closer to the nearest enemy unit, so they must move forward, try to engage the enemy. Starting for the fifth turn of the battle will arrive the reinforce in the form of General Victor and two brigade, one very small brigade of 2 units of Leger and 1 unit made of 4 line infantry unit with a field artillery. And even Victor as a trait, just one trait, General Victor is inspiring, while General Camberlac and his Leger and General Rivaux lead the other brigade of infantry. And now moving into the defenders, the Austrian. Austrian in this battle have more unit and a favorable odds on their part, because they just need to defend and hold back the French as long as possible, try to protect this village, but especially that one. So starting with a force that at first in the morning meet the Lannes forces and is General O'Reilly, which as tenacious as a trait, because he needed to hold. He lead 3 units of Grenzen, 2 units of light infantry, plus a detachment of Jaeger, and a unit of artillery, horse artillery, plus a unit of hussars. Then moving on the other side of the table, this is the main reinforcing force that will move to try to occupy this hill and protect the flank of Casteggio. And here we have the Field Marshal Vogelsang, sorry for the pronunciation, Vogelsang or something like this, leading a battery of a field gun, a large battalion of line infantry, and 4 battalions of line infantry. And then the final reserves for the Austrian is another brigade led by Field Marshal Schellenberg, which lead 4 infantry unit, another field battery, and a unit of Jaeger. Then the General Peter Karl Oth, the army overall general, which lead a unit of hussars and 2 units of grenadier, with the general here to lead the brigade. He has a charismatic, strategist, and timid as a negative trait. So the trait for Oth is charismatics, first of all, +1 to the rally for friendly units that are within 12 inches from him. Then strategist again is increase his range of command to 36, but timid. It do not add +1 to the fortitude test of friendly brigade leaders within 12 inches. While the tenacious from O'Reilly down in Casteggio means that for every battalion that do not move, it add 1 to its tenacity valor. So if they stay where they are and hold firmly against the charging French, they increase their tenacity mostly on 5. So it's very effective in defense. With this trait I try to recreate the situation of the battle. Now we'll see if the dice according an history recreation or the battle will develop in completely another way. Moving to see who will be the human attacker, so me, and which force will lead in defense by the AA. So I will lead the French again, and the Austrian will be led by AA. And I proceed to choose their defense, but with no modification at all. And we take the rule that I said before, so when they reach their tenacity limit, they start to retreat towards Montebello. Now, moving for the first turn for the French. Defense at start is a left flank defense, because they will try to hold Casteggio, When Casteggio will be evacuated, the AA passed right defense in order to protect Montebello here. And now we'll start with the French first turn. The first card is a king. It's not bad. For the emperor add movement to the French, which will be great for attack. So now moving into the first turn with the shooting, and probably the first turn do not need recap of at the end of the shooting phase. They will shoot with skirmisher and move forward, and so the rest of the army. The first turn is done, everything move up. I misread the overambitious. They do not have to end within 6s, but move at least 6 towards the enemy. When they are activated, it has more sense. So everything do this. This brigade move forward, shooting with their skirmisher first, putting 1 casualty into the Jaeger in front of them. The artillery move 18 inches and deploy, and the cavalry is moved forward, remaining 18 inches from the closest enemy, the Jaeger, on the border of the village. And that's it for the French. Now moving into the Austrian first turn. The difficult for the Austrian in this scenario, which had the advantage of the number, is that their main officer is down there, distance from the real hot spot of the battle, at least at the beginning. So they will see they manage to always activate, and that essentially is one extra difficult for the defense. So left flank 4 and 4 main engage. They will engage, so try unit prefer fire over melee, so perfect. They stay where they are and shoot at the enemy, because they also use their trait for the general. And now the first card is a queen, and a queen for the Austrian means medal. No, it's a well horsed. You can play into the melee to favor the cavalry to fight harder, but we have just 2 units for the 2 Austrians. It's not the moment to use it. Now moving into the Austrian turn, and back at the end of it for a quick recap. The Austrian turn is over, everything activated with success. Hot order the hussars forward, and the 2 battalion of grenadier to stay in the middle, ready to move forward to Casteggio or back towards Montebello as needed. Schallenberg and his units move into the Montebello, start to mount the defense. The Jaeger occupy this house here, while Vogelsang, sorry, it's quite unpronounceable, has moved on the hill at the double, and on the center everything stays still. Only the artillery and the Jaeger are able to shoot, but they completely miss, so no casualty for the French, which are now starting their second turn. The French turn, it's a 5 as a stubborn, not bad. Mounting good cards for attack now. Proceeding into the few shooting and movement for the French. All the French brigade is activated. The Gens brigade has arrived, and using the 4 Emperor has moved 6 more and try to envelop the flank by passing the wood. Then we'll decide if face the incoming Austrian or push into the village. The cavalry put themselves in range of charge the Grenzen, even with the -4 for the ditch. Another casualty is taken by the Jaeger that will start to retreat on their next activation, and that's it for the French turn. Now moving into the Austrian turn. The same as before, again engage, so perfect. the card is a King of Pension and Medal is the best card for the Austrian. Unit allow one unit, play this card in melee, pick one Austrian brigade and add one to the melee for any infantry units from that brigade for the rest of the phase. Could be useful, especially because not force them to use when they are attacking, but even in defense. And that's it. Now moving into the shooting, which promised to be more interesting this turn, and then a quick recap, and then the movement and the activation phase. The artillery shooting at the column put one casualty. One casualty is put into the line by the skirmisher of the Jaeger, the retreating Jaeger. This unit here has a target obscurated, so shoot with half of their dice, 2 dice, completely misses, so this column here is unscathed. Now proceeding into the activation, starting with the brigade into Montebello. And that's it, everything successfully activated here. Jaeger started to retreat, they are on the bridge. The Grenzen assuming the square to protect themselves from the hussars. This detachment here has moved forward, taking the mass formation for their large regiment in front and behind them. And the unit on the top of the hill at the moment is an attack column, the artillery is deployed. And the defense of Montebello is mounted with a battalion taking position and artillery deployed. And that's it for the Austrian turn, and now moving into the French third turn. And the turn begin with the 10, which is good for objective, but we have not objective here, so it will become useful if I fail to activate some brigade. And now moving into the shooting phase for the French. Line here completely missed the skirmisher light infantry in front of them, but 2 casualties put into the Grenzen square from the horse draw artillery combined fire. And that's it for the French. Fire now proceeding into the activation for the French, and the Vatrine brigade activate for 3 tanks to the Lannes commands. Thus return on the flank, protecting the Gen Z brigade. We take open order with its 1st battalion, supported by the 2nd battalion and the incoming voltigeur, and the cavalry with the carbine put 1 casualty into the large Austrian battalion here. On that side, both the horse-draw artillery is redeployed very close to the enemy, and in the center, both the column of Vatrine is charged straight forward into the line of Austrian, which try to put as much casualty as possible, but doing this they fail to take a compact line formation. So now moving into the fight for this first blood of the game. And this is the bloody result. A 6-8 for the French and no 1 for the light infantry, which now are forced to take 2 Valor tests to stay in place. But just 1 roll, sorry, because they have tenacity 5 thanks to the O'Reilly trait. So on a 4+, oh, they are gone. So I'm proceeding to remove the casualty and Fortitude test for O'Reilly, which is on a 3+. Yes, it's okay. It's not O'Reilly, it's Lukowski, which is within 6, or O'Reilly, which is acted as a divisional commander, so it grants a +1. So the Fortitude test is passed, but 1 unit is gone, and because they are within 6 inches from... No, because the Fortitude test is passed. I'm proceeding to remove the casualty and moving into the Austrian turn 3. So the turn start with again an engage, so fire over melee. 8. Inspiration should be useful at previous turn, not now, but at the moment no one is really in danger, so One unit for Horele is gone, but the village is firmly in his hand, and his flank is going to put serious pressure onto this unit here. But on the right they take a probe, and this means that prefer shooting against melee, always shoot against the enemy and engage only shaken or counter strike with proper melee. This time they will move forward, pushing some pressure and take fire with the other unit. Two columns here fail to hit anything on this side with their skirmisher. In the center, the Austrian fire is a mixed bag, because both the artillery at canisters cannot hit anything on this two column. The square, although it's close, fail to shoot into the battery, while the light infantry in front put 3 casualties into this column of attack for the French. And that's it for the fire for the Austrian. And now moving into the activation. Again, the free activation thanks to Haute is the brigade on Montebello. And that's it for the activation phase. The Jaegers continue their retreat. The Hussars come back to the village to protect the road from any French breakthrough. On the hill, the other units move the column of attack, try the slope down, and the other unit in mass has moved across the ditches for the large battalion, and the other one treating the French the French Leger in open order. And so we'll see, and that's it. The rest down there of the Schellenberg units take their final defensive position. They are waiting the enemy or any retreating unit to busting their defense. Here, Haute move its dragoon forward. That's not the dragoon, the Hussars forward. Left the grenadier still for the moment, for boosting the defense of the village, or even have a cavalry across the Copper River to get better mobility if the French will break through in any way. And that's it for now, proceeding into the French turn. And the French card is a 2, so no card for this turn, but reshuffle the deck. So no aid for the fate, only on the brave of this man and the courage of Lannes to cope with the Austrian in this turn. Well, the fire this time is a mixed bag for the French. The combined skirmisher units fire into the artillery, put 1 casualty on the gun. The horse artillery shoot at the canister, at the light infantry in front, completely miss. The skirmisher of the voltigeur here put 1 casualty into the square, while the artillery on the flank plus the fire for the line, for the Ligurian line, put 1 casualty into the large battalion of Austrians. And now the brigade that started the activation for free is the Vatrine brigade. Again, that will try to push harder into the village. They will try to crush the defenders over the bridge. French turn activation is over. The Gen C failed to activate, so I spent the card just to move outside the charge range. The Leger in open order, the rest remain where they are. Also the artillery stay where they are. Mine only move forward, ready to assault across the ditch and successfully charge across the bridge is the unit of infantry, the Vatrine brigade. The Hussars charge the flank of the main large Austrian battalion, and Lannes put itself in the center of the deployment to survey the battle and offer its bonus to +1 attack dice to the unit involved in melee at the moment. So this unit here and the Hussars down there. and I have to finish the move the artillery to offer support to the hussars as well. And now moving into the roll of the dice for the fight over the bridge and on that far side, especially if the hussars manage to complete the charge. No, they are repelled, so no charge at all. They have to fall back and also take one casualty. No, the casualty is not taken because mass is not a square, but even with a plus it's a 3, so they cannot manage to charge. The 2 was enough, and they fail to charge such a large number of Austrian soldiers. I double checked the rule, and yes, they take one casualty, it's 1 to 3, so complete failure for the hussars. And the center push forward for Watrine. The infantry battalion has 6 dice, 4 by themselves plus brigade support and Lannes against the 4 of the Austrian 3 plus 1 of the support. Hitting on a 3, rerolling 1 for the French means 5 hit into the light infantry and take 2 casualty back. It's enough to shaken the brigade, but no test is needed, and that put an end to the French turn. The fourth turn for the Austrians begin, but while playing, I think that the detachment of Volksang should be attacking at first. They push the French back, so I take a different set. A right flank attack here for Volksang and a left defense for the village of Casteggio and Montebello. So double roll for this turn onward. On the left flank they will react to enemy, so this means they'll react with fire and counter-attack only with dedicated melee unit. And on the right flank 4 they charge, so they will push the French back. So this are the 2 set for the Austrian now, and they drew a 6, so deadly, which should be helpful. Now moving into the fire Austrian phase. The Austrian fire but fail to hit. The artillery otherwise put 2 casualty into the hussars, shaking them. The column shoot with their skirmishers into the artillery but failed to hit. On that side the artillery was hit by the shooting from the square, and 1 casualty is taken. And the horse artillery behind the ditch, despite the close distance, the column only inflict 1 casualty. And now moving into the activation phase for the Austrians. The large battalion hit the Leger in line and in their pushing attack. On the other side, the light battalion move away and start its retreat toward Montebello. According to EIA, the French are not shaken, so the Grenzen hold their ground and keep their bonus from rally but not attack. The square decided to shoot, so it cannot rally. Next time probably it will be wise, hold the shot and try to rally back. And that's it. Now moving into the attack for this Austrian large battalion against the French line. The French hit on a 4, and the Austrians are charging it on a 4 because they have casualty. No reroll on either side. So the Austrian inflict a large amount of casualty. It hit 6 on 6, while the French hit 3 times only. So the Austrian and the melee exhausted, but the French needed to take 2 Valor tests. And the 2 Valor tests for the line is here, and both failed. So the second Leger broke out and fled, And as you can see, you need to take a Fortitude test. It is within Lannes with the tree. I need to double check, but probably it passes. The tree is good enough. It can be rerolled by Lannes, but you can see is within 12 inches from their leader, so the 4 became a 3, so it passed. Proceeding to remove the casualty, and this put an end to the Austrian turn. So the defenders roll a 6, which is an engage, and the right roll a 3, which is react. Practically the same as before, and now we'll see they draft a 9 surprise attack, which is very useful to try to repel the French at the moment. Very useful. We're back at the end of the fire phase to quick recap and then the activation. The Vogelslang Brigade should with their skirmisher because they plan to move, put 1 casualty into the Voltiger and 1 casualty into the Leger that are going to take a Valor test at the end of the fire phase. And the village, the second Grenzen opened the fire still in column and put 2 casualty into the 1st battalion of the Train Brigade and forced them to 2 Valor test, and that's it. Now, so proceeding with the Valor test, Vatrine have their commander Stubborn close to them, so it can re-roll the Valor test failed on a 3+, but both are passed, so they remain shaken but stay where they are, sorry, and the Leger down there, they also pass. So proceeding into the activation phase. On the Odd Brigade, the Hussars received the order to charge into the Vatrine column of attack, which is fresh. It has no casualty. The other one is past the test and no one can charge it. The Volkswagen battalions crossed the ditch, and the 1st battalion of I can't remember. Anyway, it charged straight forward into the column of the Leger on the spot. And that's it. Now moving into the fight phase and see what has happened. First, the Hussar, which have 4 attack dice against the 4 of the column. No bonus. The column have a support for their partner brigade, which is within 3. No bonus for either side, because the unit behind them is the Mainoni Brigade. So 4 attack. The Hussars have no partner unit close to them, but they hit on a 3. The French hit on a 4 and can reroll the 1s. So the Austrian hit 4 times, and this doesn't matter. The French may reroll and hit 4 times. No, it doesn't. But it doesn't matter, because even in case of tie, they will be crushed by the Hussars, with rout the Vatrine 2nd Battalion, and this brings them to take an immediate Fortitude test. It is within 12 inches from Lannes, so it passes on a 5 because 1 unit left. On a 4 to Lannes. And that's it on a 4. Oh, it passed. Okay, so no defeat, no the other unit will be routed. And now moving into that fire. Again, 1st battalion plus 1 support, 3 because it is a Leger plus support. French are in real danger here. The Austrian hit on a 4, the French hit on a 5, but yes. Whoa. The Austrian hit 4 times, while the French hit just once. So they put 1 casualty and shaken the Austrian battalion, but they have to take 4 Valor tests. So 4 Valor tests are taken immediately, and they just 1. What a bad. Anyway, the Leger is gone. A Fortitude test for Glency, which is within 12 inches and still have more unit on a 2+. and it passed. Okay, and that's put an end to the Austrian phase. I remove the casualty and move straight forward into the French phase. The Austrians are not shaken. The Austrians are not shaken because they only have got 2. Now they have 3 casualty markers. So the French turn start with a 4, which is not bad. It means to move back through more movement. Now proceeding into the fire and then straight forward into the activation for them. This battery here put 1 casualty into the column down there. The fire of that battery here at point blank fire put 2 casualty into the column of attack in front of them and shaken it. And 1 test is needed by the hussars hit by the fire of the main skirmisher of this 2 column. 1 casualty is put in that grandstand here, and they have to take 1 test that I do not put the dice. So 1 test for them on a 3+, they stay, and the column of infantry also stay. So okay, now moving into the activation phase. So the Mainoni column of attack charge into the hussars. The hussars, French hussars, charge the shaken Austrian brigade. Revolt failed to activate, so I have to drop the breakthrough card in order to activate at least 1 of his column of attack with charge in, and then that's it for the move. No, I have still to move Chambalak, which yes, it moved. Now I proceed to move before rolling, and then Lannes order the all-out assault for each unit within 12 inches. So plus 2 dice for that battalion, the hussars, and the Mainoni column of attack. They will try to crush the defense into the village and push them back as soon as possible. So let's start with the fight into the main road of the village against the hussars of Haute, which have 4 dice, but they are exhausted with no bonuses at all, against the Mainoni column of attack, +1 for the brigade support and +2 for the all-out assault and lance bonuses. They are without casualties, so they eat on a 3, rerolling 1, while the Austrian eat on a 5. So 1 casualty strike from the Austrian in the column, but so many for the French, where it are 6 plus a reroll 7, 8. So the cavalry have to take exactly 6 valor tests. They may take it immediately, and they pass all 6. They are incredibly stubborn. They won't left the village in the French hand. So they stay where they are. They lose their take a cavalry retreat, but the unit is not routed at all, and this is a good news for the Austrian. Now proceeding into this side with the scorn of Lannes, the French hussars, which worked poorly this battle until now, they have 6 dice for the all-out assault and the attack by Lannes against the column, which is an attack column with the support of their partner brigade, but they are shaken, so they eat on a 5, while the French eat on a 4. And the hussars strike 3 times with no rerolls, and the French eat only twice. So they finish to shaken the hussars again, but they take 3 valor tests. And I have to wait because they are part of the same brigade, and I have the card well disciplined, so I have to take the other fight. So 4 dice again, 6 plus the divisional 7, the brigade 7 against 4 and 5 for the brigade support. The Austrian hit on a 4, the French hit on a 3, reroll 1. So the French hit 6 times and the Austrian hit 4 times. Enough to shaken the French column of attack, but they have to take 4 Valor tests. So 4 Valor tests for this and 3 for the other. I rolled the 4. They fail 3 times. Let me double check the card. Okay, I have to roll 1 at a time, because when I fail 1 I get the +1 to the other one. So the first one is pass, the second one is fail, so it's pass, and now I have a +1. So on a 3 it's also fail. The other unit may roll all together on a 3+, they also fail. So 2 of the unit of Volkswagen are routed and gone. So it must take 2 Fortitude tests, and it failed both. So 2 defeat for the Austrian general on the hill and spread casualty amongst the remaining of its troop. I proceed to remove the model, make the cavalry retreat, and pass on to the Austrian turn. At this point, with the Volkswagen brigade decimated, it looks correct to remove the attack and start the defense of Montebello rather than simply defend Casteggio, who really has left one intact battalion. The rest is shaken and start the retreat. So I move to the right flank defense and prepare the last part of the game to protect Montebello for the French. So they are an advantage at the moment, so they have to engage. Engage in defense means that advance toward the enemy and engage melee if possible. So to hold them back, the Grenzen in the village will give their lives, and the same did the brigade of Vogelslang, and then the rest will retreat in order to booster the defense of Montebello. Moving into the fire phase, the few shooting from the Austrian, and then the activation phase. The card for the Austrian is a 2, so I have to reroll the used card, and then the fire is very poor. This artillery here failed to hit, but no, put 1 casualty into the voltage area in front of them. Both the hussars used their carbine but fail to cause a casualty, and that's move straight forward into the activation phase. Movement is over all around the Austrian army. Here in Montebello, defense are boosted by the battalion until now keep in reserve. Cavalry move back, and then in the next turn will try to rally, and same did this unit of Grenzen, and both the Grenadier turn back and move at the double towards Montebello. Here this unit of Wolfgang has moved back across the ditch, while this one engaged the shaken cavalry, tried to crush them or at least hold them in place, but they need to crush or are going to be routed by themselves. And as you can spot in the village, the Grenzen charge in, gain time for the rest of the retreat for their partner units. And that's it. I'm moving into the fight phase for the Austrian. The Grenzen have a 4 attack, they are in column. Also the French have a 4 attack. They have no partner brigade. Let me double check a single thing, one moment. Oh yes, they have the artillery, which is from its brigade. So 5 dice, but they are shaken, hitting on a 5, rerolling 1, against 4 dice, hitting on a 4, because the Grenzen have 1 casualty. So the Grenzen hit 3 times, while the French hit 3 times again, and shaken the Austrian unit, but they lose the melee, so they have to take 3 valor test. Vatrine is stubborn, so it may reroll the result. Not reroll the result, it can add 1. So they test on a 3. And they stay. Vatrine unit hold the ground against the counterattack of the Grenzen and also shaken that unit. And that is now in the center the Austrian southern Austrian infantry against the Hussars. Hussars have no bonuses, no unit of Mainone close to them, so they hit on a 5 while Austrian hit on a 4. Austrian hit once while the French hit none. So just 1, but it requires a valor test for them. They are for Mainone with no particular bonus for their valor test. But they pass, they stay, so they are forced to retreat because their cavalry have lost melee, but for the rest the turn of the Austrian is quite successful. They hold the French on the spot at least as best as they can, and the retreat and defeat and the defense of Montebello is now mounting, and the final stage of the battle is going to happen. Now the French have to move, and while moving they will try to optimize the attacking forces and maybe left the exhausted units behind to rally and summon them for the last part of the battle. The French turn start with Vive l'Empereur, which is great at this moment of the battle because they need to move towards the last strong point for the Austrian. Moving into the fire and then back for a quick recap of it. Fire phase is over. The artillery here shoot at their counterpart using my home rule, which may allow to shoot over the head, hitting only on a 6 and miss. The combiner fire from the artillery at short range, plus the support of the Legere and the Voltigeur into the column, put a 2 casualty on the Austrian, and that's it for the fire because no one else is in range. And now proceeding into the activation phase. The first one to achieve the free activation will be Mainone Brigade. On Mainone move into the village, Vatrine failed to receive the order, and in the confusion of the fight against the Austrian they stay where they are. Even Chamballac failed to receive the order despite his closeness to Lannes, which is furious within. Sorry, I have to feed to move Lannes, which passed the ditch. And the rest of brigade victorious move forward and successfully rally one casualty, the center battalion. The Hussars down there failed to rally anything, and that's it for the moment. Now the fight continues between the unit of Vatrine exhausted and shaken against the also shaken Grenzen unit. So both hit on a 5, but the French rerolled 1. The French hit 3 times while the Austrian hit twice. No reroll for each part, so the French win, and 2 valor tests will be taken for the Austrian with fail and gone. So this unit of Grenzen is gone, and the same partner brigade also shaken need to take their test. They are far than 12 inches away from the enemy, so I use my home rule, which means they are allowed to take 1 valor test instead of auto route. I start to be a little bit tired, so sorry. Before to do this, they route, and I have to take a Fortitude test for the Aurelie brigade. So the officer roll for the Fortitude, which is failed. I have no card that allow me to reroll anything or get bonuses, so now I apply the home rule for my battalion, from the Austrian battalion, which is retreating and are all shaken. So, the Hussars stay, the Grenzen stay, and finally the Jager also stay. So no wonder probably they are too far to see the destruction of their partner battalion, so they all stay. And this put an end to the French turn and moving into the Austrian turn. Nothing really to roll here. It's a 5, so it means engage, but as I said, there is just one charge on the right to hold back the French as much as possible. The rest will retreat, and the card will be a king again, so medal and pension will come in handy later probably. And now into the very short fire, and then back to the activation. As I said, few shot. The field artillery in Montebello tried to shoot at the front battalion of Mainoni, but failed to hit much closer Austrian artillery into the Rivaux battalion, but also failed to hit anything. And that's it for fire. Now proceeding into the activation for the Austrian. Almost everything in the Austrian activates successfully, especially the O'Reilly and the Volkswagen Brigade. Only the Hoth Brigade failed to activate rolling a 1. I drop the surprise attack, which now is not so useful, to move the Hussars in better position, and now they will start to rally next turn and try to offer the first line of defense of Montebello. Here, this battalion charge into the French line. The Voltigeur try to inflict casualty and hope for inflicting a defeat on their brigade, while this one is moving back, and the next turn even the artillery will start to retreat. Austrian have 4 attack, the French has 1+1 from the partner artillery, which grant support. They eat on a 4, the French eat on a 4. So 2 eat for the Austrian, neither for the French, which now have to take 1 Valor test. So they have to take their Valor test on a 4. They failed, so they're gone. A Fortitude test for the brigade, which is also failed. As predicted, the Austrian plan has paid, so a defeat for the French. There are no members of this brigade which are shaken, but they take casualty, the artillery take casualty, and that's it. But that ended to the Austrian turn. With 1 hour and a half to play, the French now controlling Casteggio and prepare the assault to Montebello. We'll see if they manage to do it. Now the turn start with the 7 as a direct fire to help the fire, and I'm going to take the shooting activation right now. Few shoot again for the French too, because not so many enemy are in sight right now. Back in quite a second. Should be impossible to miss, and in fact the artillery also shaken never and don't miss it twice instead, and force 1 Valor test for the Austrian on a 3+, because it's shooting. They are gone. So finally the last battalion into the French line broke and ran for their lives. The rest of the turn will be an activation for the Revolt Brigade and a reorganization for the Batrep and for the Mainoni Brigade into the village, preparing the final push into Montebello. Mainoni successfully rallied rally this unit. It took 2 casualty out, and 2 did the last battalion of Batrep brigade. The rest move forward. The hussars successfully activate with their messenger role. Everything move forward, and essentially that's it for the French turn. The horse artillery from the Gen C brigade moved 18 and deployed the start to pound the Austrian defense, and that's it. Now moving into the Austrian defense turn, which will show probably some fire, but especially lots of rally test. No modifier, so as a 3 probe in defense mean prefer shooting against melee. Always shoot against the enemy and engage in melee only if it is shaken, so perfect. So some shooting and then activation. I will film everything in a single step because I have just one gun that may shoot something. Vogelsang moved back with this unit and its artillery. Maybe too late, is in range of the charge of the hussar, but the Austrian hope that the messenger failed to reach them. For the rest, the Jaegers take an advanced position. The hussars of the Aurelie brigade successfully rally, and the same cannot be said for the Grenzen, which failed to rally, and also the hot hussars fail to rally, while the grenadier take position as a final reserves into the Montebello. That's it for the Austrian turn. Now moving straight and shooting from that gun in the shooting phase, put 1 casualty in the front column of attack of all the French into Casteggio, and now moving into the French turn. French drew a 5. Well, no, not bad. For the stubborn, can take out a casualty and is always a good thing. Shooting is, as per the Austrian, just 1 single unit at the moment can shoot properly, so I will film all the French turn in a single step and back at the end of it for a quick recap. The forces of Mainoni push forward and exit the Casteggio and push toward the Austrian line, and the same did Chamballac with his Leger, which full of Mainoni in the village and on this side of the hill, and Rivaux move forward with all its force, while the hussars fail the message, but I discard the direct fire, which is pretty useless at the moment, to charge a juicy target. A limbered artillery is very prone to the attack of the hussars, although they are shaken. I'll resolve in a moment. Let me grab some dice. There are 4 dice against 1. They 8 on a 5, the other one 8 on a 4. So I hit twice. It take 1 casualty, but they are automatically destroyed. This means that the Vogenslag brigade need another Fortitude test, which passes. So no more defeat inflicted to the Austrian, but 1 battery run down by hussars. The first casualty they cause this battle probably. That's it. Moving into the French turn. Strategy is still without any modifier, so engage, will shoot everywhere and charge if I have advantage or counter-strike unit ready, but I have not at the moment, so I prefer shoot over melee. The card for this turn is breakthrough, can make some of my unit to rearrange. Again, I will no, but this time it's possible that I have a few shots to show you. Back in a sec at the end of the shooting phase. So the combined fire from this unit here put 1 casualty here. The skirmisher fire from the Grenzen put another casualty into the Mainoni column, and the 2 tests are required for the cavalry receiving fire from behind the the Copa River, and from that unit to protect the bridge. So I have to take 2 Valor tests for the Mainoni cavalry, which pass on a 3. Ooh, double 1, so a double failed. A Fortitude test for Mainoni is within a distance from the General Lannes, but probably it's failed, so it may reroll. Would the Lannes scream order and battle wars against insult against his general, which still feel worse than before. So a failure, a defeat for Mainoni brigade, and the destruction of its cavalry put an end to the Austrian turn. No activation apart. Tried to rally. Not bad, because Aurelia Brigade Hussars with a spectacular double 6 recover completely for being eaten previously, so it's quite fresh. The rest of the Austrian failed to activate off brigade or failed to rally the Grenzen and the other unit here, the Vogelschlange here. So that's put a real hand to the Austrian turn, and moving into the French one. Battery start to failing me, so I have to take record from distance or recover some cable. Anyway, start the French turn with a 3 confusion. Not bad at this moment of the game. We'll see now proceeding into the shooting for the French and then activation. I'll back with it. The revolt infantry move forward, successfully charge here. The rest of the brigade one take the line, ready to shoot, and the rest move forward. Artillery reach the hill and prepare to unlimber next turn. The rest of the French army surge forward. The 2 column of attack of Mainoni successfully charge the Jäger with this. They are also shaken from the fire of coming from the skirmisher fire. The rest of the brigade is moved forward. The Leger of Chamballac take the line, ready to shoot the next turn to the Hussars or whenever it come closer, and the 3rd battalion of Mainoni take position to the counter-strike, because this Hussar probably will crush the remaining French. The French turn is over with a victory here, but they are only shaken, so no test. In the center the Jäger are obviously gone, but Lobkovsky of Aurelia Brigade, Aurelia Division, failed another Fortitude test to take its 3rd defeat, and this put a casualty into the Hussars, and that put an end to the French turn that are formed the line to storm the last objective, but now started the Austrian turn. The Austrians start with the confusion play by the French with no free activation. Again, the Jack, so it's very useful, especially at this moment of the game. That's it. Now, a quick recap at the end of the turn. The confusion paid off because the Aurelia Brigade failed to activate and cannot be used at the auto-activation, so the French Hussars failed to charge. The Haute Hussars tried a desperate charge against a beaten French brigade. They are still operative, but they have 3 casualties, so just 1 difference in the dice mean that will be routed, and we will see. This unit here successfully rally, now proceeding into the melee and the end of the turn recap. But the Austrian cavalry failed to do anything but pass its Valor test 4 times in a row, and here the Austrian, thanks to the deadly strike twice and shaken the French, but it lost the melee, thanks to the cars, thanks to the well disciplined, they pass its failed Valor test. It could be a waste because they just 1 roll, but I want to keep them in line as long as possible. And now moving into the French turn. It could be the decisive turn, half an hour to the end of the game. Surprise attack could be very useful now, and so proceeding into the few shooting and into the assault for the French. And a very effective activation phase for the French. This battalion here, at the price of one casualty, it rout the last brigade, the last battalion of Vogelsang brigade, so it is destroyed and removed from the table. In the center, the Mainone brigade will launch a surprise attack against the hussars from Hot, crush them at the price of being shaken. On this side, the other Mainone column of attack also beat the hussars of Horelli, but they passed their 3 morale test and fall back in good order across the bridge, shaken but still operative, so the brigade is safe. And now, due to the time, so 15 minutes to the decided hour to end the game, Napoleon is approaching, the sunset approaching, the Austrians take their last turn, inflict the last casualty of this lost battle, because it is lost, and then back at the cup for the conclusion of the game. And so that's it, the covering fire for the Austrian that will cover the retreat route to the Mainone brigade that were severely beaten by the present fight. And for one of them, Mainone, despite the presence of Lannes, failed its fortitude test. The rest saw another defeat for the French, and that's it. Some slightly useless movement, but O'Reilly come back on this side of the river Coppa. Then with the dusk that's approaching, and the main force led by Napoleon that is join Lannes, the battle comes to an end at 8 p.m. as in reality we are not 8 p.m. But 8 p.m. in the evening the Austrian force retire from Montebello to their towards Alexandria, and the French remain master of the field. I'm very happy for the game because less or more is going. The game is going how the battle going in reality for what is it possible with so few models compared to the large forces on the field. But that's it. Now a quick recap just for the sake of the video, how many points each side has grabbed on this battle. So that's it. Hot conceded 6 defeats during the game, plus the 5 point to conceding Castage to the French. And to holding Lannes conceded 3 defeats plus the fine point for the Austrian to still holding Montebello. So in the end is a 3-point victory for the French. So a narrow victory for the French, which have to cross all the table and fight without rest in order to achieve the victory. It's again very satisfying. I know it's a long video. Skip the boring part in the middle and go to see who is the victorious general. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoy this battle as I do in playing it, and for the moment and for the Napoleonic at the moment, bye bye.